42 on the East Coast right now. Welcome back to Wake Up America. There are still a lot of unanswered questions surrounding that mass shooting inside the Q nightclub in Colorado Springs, Colorado on Saturday night. 5 people were killed, at least 25 others were injured. And of course, that quadruple murder of 4 University of Idaho students just over a week ago at an off-campus house in Idaho. It's Thanksgiving week. Students are going to be going back home for Thanksgiving. No suspects in that case. For more on all this, let's welcome back in former Homeland Security Department advisor, former Secret Service Special Agent Charles Marino with us this morning. Good to have you back, Charles. Appreciate you being with us on a Monday. So 22-year-old Anderson Lee Aldridge used a semi-automatic rifle at the Q nightclub, gay nightclub in Colorado Springs. 5 people were killed, 25 hurt. And then patrons, people that were inside the nightclub, they were out for a good night. They jumped in, intervened, and they were able to basically subdue this guy until the cops got there. What are you hearing about this case, and what's the next step for these? You remember what happened in Orlando at the Pulse nightclub. Do we need armed guards at these nightclubs? Is that where we're heading?
Yeah, morning, Rob. No, look, I thank God for those patrons that stepped in and interrupted the actions of the shooter, or a lot more people would have probably been killed here. But this is a travesty. And to answer your last question first, look, these are soft locations. And this location, we think we know why. This will likely become a hate crime, was the fact that this was the type of club that it was and hosted the people that it did. Every target is appealing to a suspect for a variety of reasons. And I think as police continue to speak with this suspect, they're going to find that he was drawn to this target because of the types of events that it hosted.
Yeah, hate crime. I was in Tampa when Pulse happened in Orlando several years ago. And I'm telling you, this was a big part of the conversation down there. Of course, Florida's a much different state politically than Colorado. But it was, okay, well, would this happen if there was somebody with a gun outside or police or some sort of hired security that these clubs are required to have to prevent this from happening? And I think that the conclusion was that no, we wouldn't see this type of thing happen. I want to go to Idaho, Moscow, Idaho. Police gave us an update on Sunday after the death, again, 8 days ago, 4 University of Idaho students. They were all roommates. The other roommates were cleared as suspects. That's what we learned over the weekend. Still no motive, still no suspect, which blows my mind. Charles, the knife that was used to kill these poor 4 students, it's called a K-bar knife. It looks like the knife that Rambo used in the Rambo movies. What do you make of that, and how that could play a role in figuring out who this suspect is?
Yeah, every piece of evidence here in a case like this could be the one that just busts this case wide open in terms of pulling forth potential suspects for this case. But, you know, cops right now are relying on a host of information, and that's reliant primarily on tips that are coming in, interviews that they are conducting, and technology such as surveillance cameras in and around the area that they're also using to help further solidify the timeline that led up to this. They think they've got a pretty good grasp on this, but with no persons of interest, no, murder weapon per se, and just going off of the type of wounds that we see here on the victims, you do want to have a lot more evidence here, obviously, for DNA purposes, possible fingerprints of suspects, and also some valid technological evidence that would identify a possible suspect in this case. But look, right now, with nobody in custody, as you said, the threat environment is certainly heightened in this town and college, and rightfully so.
And it's Thanksgiving week. You know, kids are going to be getting out of Dodge to go home and spend the holiday with their families. No suspect, to your point. How important are the first 48 hours for building a case and trying to figure out who a suspect is? You've been in cases like this before, and here we are, a little over a week removed and no suspect.
It's extremely important, right? Because information is fresh in the minds of those that may have witnessed it. You've got very fresh evidence at the crime scene. This was a large crime scene, as we know, very unique from the standpoint that there were 2 people in this home, 2 roommates that were not harmed during this attack.
Yeah.
So it really is a unique situation. But, the first 48 hours in terms of processing all of this evidence, potential evidence in the crime scene, and also pulling in the appropriate resources like the FBI and state officials to help. They're going to have these additional, more complex forensic labs to help process this large
good point. And that was a positive yesterday when police said, look, we've cleared the roommates, because when this first happened, it took 8 hours to call 911, and I was like, wait, well, why so long? The roommates have been cleared. No suspect, no murder weapon, no motive. A lot more questions than answers still in Idaho right now. Charles, we'll pick this conversation up again soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
All right.